So it's time to give Alsa our final grade and tell you whether we think you should actually summon for this hero. We're going to break it down by a couple different game modes. We're also going to break it down free to play versus spender, and also talk about who you already have on your account, because that might matter if you build this hero right here. Let's talk about Alsa. So when it comes to Alsa, she has some really big pros. Number one is her ability right here. Rolling Boulder is absolutely insane. Essentially lets her do damage whenever an enemy is crowd controlled by anybody on your team, let alone her ultimate doing that by itself. She can roll into a target, do AoE damage, and then apply these boulders. However, one of the biggest downside of Alsa is, in fact, with her ultimate. The first time she rolls across to the enemy side of the battlefield, she will not bounce back, which means she gets put in a very precarious situation and sometimes doesn't survive to tell the tale. We'll show you guys here in a minute exactly why that is, but if you can get her to survive after that first one, she's pretty much going to help you win the battle, because every subsequent ones after that, she returns back to our side of the battlefield and becomes extremely safe. This is a good example of one of the teams that I run quite often, linking her to a Thorin. Thorin's then going to save 50% of the damage on that target. I've in rare occasion done my PvP-ish style team here, where I try to position this in a way that allows her to get swathed, but on this one is really difficult, just simply because of where these heroes are. They're very difficult to actually get to, and it means a lot of kind of like just not great positioning. So overall, I do tend to run this, but I'll show you guys a prime example. Immediately, once she gets enough energy to go to the other side of the battlefield, it will be solid, but again, she leaves herself at the front of the battle. You can see there, her health dipped, and then it did heal up a little bit, and then after that, she does bounce back to her side of the battlefield, which does mean there's a better chance of survivability. Granted though, on teams like this that we're going up against, sometimes it's still not enough and not the best strategy. As far as AFK pushing, she has her place where she can be good. Is she better than the traditional setups? Probably not. More niche uses. And again, I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of this hero. If they literally let her bounce back to her own side of her battlefield every single time, including the first one, I think she'd be a much stronger hero, because she's a mage. She doesn't want to be up in your face. She's going to hit you in the face and then run away, but it still works out. Even getting her Mythic Plus doesn't do too much for her. Of course, it increases the shield value, which is good. It can stack a couple times, give her additional buffs, reduces the energy cost. All those things are really, really cool. And honestly, her combo, the seasonal skill, doesn't do too much besides add more damage. Now, that's usually not a bad case, but overall, she is a solid like A tier hero, maybe even into the S tier overall, but right now she is very much a substitute for heroes that already exist. When we talk about different game modes, I'm going to go through these. AFK stage, I'd probably give her an A plus as far as quality goes. However, you do need very specific heroes to go with it. Dream Realm, she is not a very solid hero. So much of her damage requires you to crowd control the enemy that she just doesn't get it done. Arena, she is absolutely amazing. She is one of the favorite PvP heroes right now. I put her in the S plus tier. Again, really depends on the type of team you have built around her, and there are a couple key heroes you really want to have. And besides that, Legend Trial, she kind of lacks in. The one thing that Maulers don't have, a lot of crowd control, so she doesn't get to proc a ton of her boulders, leading her to not be very good in Legend Trial. And then of course you just have the open world. A lot of the open world story battles she does absolutely amazing in, but let's talk about the heroes you really need to have on your account in order to make her good. I feel like if you don't have a Mythic Plus Aaron here, you should just not even consider building Alsa. Literally, he is one of the best damage spikes for the hero, simply because at the beginning of the battle, she gets to put that boulder over every single target's head. He does damage immediately, she does damage immediately. Depending on the game mode, that's sometimes half of their HP gone within the first 5 seconds of battle, and it is absolutely devastating. If you don't have this hero already at Mythic Plus, I want to tell you right now, I would not invest in Alsa. Alsa pretty much takes the same exact role in a normal team as Carolina. However, the team can be a little bit more flexible in Carolina, whereas Carolina absolutely needs Aaron to be viable. Alsa can do some things besides that. Carolina really shines though when you do get the mythic, and it isn't immediate damage, it is eventual damage, because of course you have to cast Snowball Witchery on the third time. It's not immediate, but it does do a lot of damage, whereas Alsa's damage happens immediately even if she's crowd control, which is one huge boost of her versus Carolina. However, that goes into the topic of, if you already have a Carolina built, do you need an Alsa? The answer is honestly no, you absolutely do not. If you already have a built Carolina, I would 100% not do these summons. I would spend all my time trying to grind up as many of the rate up invite letters as possible and just keep saving as many diamonds as possible, because we will have Soren eventually. And will Alsa be better with Soren? Most likely yes. They very much seem like heroes that are going to synergize well together. However, in the meantime, we don't really know what his kit is going to be like, and maybe saving towards the last couple days of Alsa's banner and then maybe deciding to go for it if we have more Soren information might be the play here. We've shown her combos on a free-to-play account as a single hero copy a little bit earlier. Actually, we might have shown that last night as well. If you didn't check it out, go see it. A little synopsis, TLDW, you didn't watch it. It's not good. A single copy of Alsa suffers even worse from the scenarios that this Supreme Plus one does, and that is the sheer lack of survivability, especially if you don't have a Mythic Thorin on that account, because you can't even link her up to give her more survivability, and she just dies really, really quickly. Her walls aren't that impactful. A single copy of her is not going to be good, and if a single copy is not good, it's really not worth the investment as a free-to-play or low spender. I've seen a lot of people talking about, you know, just swapping Arden out of your team, plugging her in, and pretty much having the same success. But honestly, I just don't think she is the substitute for Arden. I think she's the substitute for Carolina. And at that point, there are people not building Arden. However, just about everybody I know is eventually getting to building their Carolina. If you already have her halfway built, there's no point swapping at this point to Alsa. Save your resources. Don't even consider it. I'm even gonna say that you should consider building her up, and that is if you are a decent spender, at least gonna be able to drop 100 or 200 bucks on a hero. Then she will be worthwhile, because you'll be able to invest and build multiple of these heroes, and that does give you more flexibility. And as you've seen on our account, we come up with some pretty unique teams with Reinir, Thorin, Alsa, Floribel. Not a very traditional team. We're not getting any type of aura, and yet it still somehow works. But if you're free to play, you really need to hyper focus on those like really solid teams. So let me know what you guys think. Overall, I would say this is a pass hero for the time being. Maybe when we get to Soren, we'll talk about the combos with her, but that's still 2.5 weeks away. There's no rush to go on these banners immediately, and that's another thing I want to talk about. Be patient. Don't worry about if the hero is viable day one. Let us test her out over the course of a weekend. Most likely every time a hero comes out, we're going to do initial impressions on a Friday, a little bit more of a deep dive on Saturday, more testing on Sunday, and a final verdict on the Sunday. So give me a couple days. I like taking the time testing the heroes on multiple different accounts, free to play, spender, early game, late game, and then we get a better idea of what this hero can do. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.